Hi, I'm here today to talk to Yogi Parulekar, the CEO of Invi Grid. And I'm Steve Zalewski, former CISO Levi Strauss. And I'm really excited to have the opportunity to talk to Yogi about her company, Invi Grid, and the path that she took to start the company and the value proposition that she offers. So, with that, Yogi, welcome. Um, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your career journey was to get to being the CEO of InviGrid?
First off, thank you, Steve. Thank you for doing this. I truly appreciate it. Um, Now, a little bit about myself. So started on the security and the technology risk and governance field way back 1996. I have been with EY, with Oracle, been a couple head of security a couple of times. But as a person, I always, at the personal level, I'm the one who thrives when I'm problem solving, when I'm building something concrete. And that's what led me to InviGrid.
Wow, that's a great start. So let me ask you now, why did you decide to tackle this particular problem, right? There are many security challenges out there. So why did you choose this one?
That's a very good question, Steve. Especially, I mean, and let's do what is the problem we are solving, right? We are solving the problem of getting cloud security right from day zero. And but what is at a very technical kind of level? That's the problem we are solving. But why this problem? Millions of dollars have been already invested in trying to solve this problem. So, however, what I saw after 25 years in this field is that this area too suffers from the much broader problem in cybersecurity, which is that of cybersecurity being an afterthought, coming in as uh, and yeah, uh, and security being always considered as an obstacle to business, right? You and I, we have both been in these roles, and we have always had to go. We have had solutions where we could detect misconfigurations, detect vulnerabilities, go to the CIOs and the CTOs, and kind of talk to them about these problems and begging them literally sometimes to go to have these problems fixed. Uh, and this whole sky is falling approach, right? And please solve it now. And that doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help to go after the fact. So how do we solve this problem, which is of helping them or empowering the teams who actually build the systems do it right the first time? Correct? Without being an obstacle or that friction, without adding that extra layer of obstacle or friction. So that is, uh, and that problem, while it is generically true for pretty much a lot of areas in cybersecurity, is aggravated in the area of cloud. Cloud has many entry points, n resources, n entry points. And so even a small mistake can be devastating to the company. We all know that. And remediations become extremely expensive because the cloud infrastructure is where all the workloads run, and nobody wants to touch that infra after the fact because the revenue generating workloads are running on it. So, which means in this particular area, it is very important to get it right in the very beginning, right? Without being an obstacle, without creating unnecessary friction, how do we empower the business to get this, right in the beginning? So that
Got
was
it.
the reason for this.
Excellent. Appreciate the passion to want to solve it. I always find very important, right? But then I have to ask, which is, well, the cloud has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Putting cloud workloads out there has been going on. App dev has been going on for a long time. We've got all kinds of acronyms out there and products. So why now? Why now did you decide that this is the right problem to solve?
Another golden question, Steve. Uh, where does I mean, we all know what is exploding today. Technological advancements are happening at an exponential pace. I sometimes say history is being written right now in front of us with the explosion and at the pace at which AI is invading our lives. And a lot of that AI is happening for enterprises on the cloud, right? So, which means now we have just expanded the surface that needs to be protected. AI feeds on data, which means any impact is going to be even more devastating than before. With AI, investors are expecting that smaller size companies can have billion-dollar valuations because, hey, AI is doing everything for you, right? That puts even more strain on the companies that are starting up or trying to use AI. They are expecting the innovation to be taken to market at even more rapid pace. You have AI. Can you not build it faster than before? So all of this is only adding to the pressure, which means shortcuts will be taken. And here's the final one that we forget. Even the malicious actors are using AI, right? So all of this trifecta of just AI in itself and its use, investor expectations to stay competitive, to stay innovative, and the malicious actors using AI makes this problem even more graver and intensive and needs a different focus of a lens. We need to take it. It just means that we need to solve the problem of getting cloud right. And the first time, every time we spin up those resources without adding the additional friction and the burden. So, and that was a challenge. How do we do that? How do we empower them so that they can innovate? The developers and the engineering teams can innovate without having to worry about infrastructure and security.
Okay. Now, you bring up a good point there, right? Which is who's your audience, right? How do you describe the problem? So, from a technical perspective, very well articulated. So, in speaking to prospective customers, right, you're talking to security practitioners, you're talking to executives, you're talking to risk people. I'd like you to talk a little bit about how do you describe the problem you're solving to those different classes of potential uh, buyers.
Right. So security people get it right, get it immediately. When I say, if you get it right first, if you provision the resources correctly, um, breach risk is dramatically reduced. So the people who are in charge of risk mitigations, including CISO and their teams, they understand this value prop very easily. And so when it comes down to going from a technical perspective, what we have done. So now I will talk about the technical perspective and the business perspective for this problem, what we are trying to do with this. And from a technical perspective, what we are trying to achieve are, at least a couple of things. One is we are trying to add as little friction as possible so innovation is not hindered. Right? So by making it keyless, agentless, putting in the necessary guardrails. But the second thing, what we are doing is trying to make it provide for time to value. So even the POCs, so what that means is if you can just log in, once you get access to our platform, they can very easily see the value because all they have to do is click through the deployment process, the provisioning process. So it's not just making the security that is baked in seamlessly, but we are um, uh, attacking the provisioning process itself by making it simpler and easier and baking security in. So they just have to say what they want and provision it. And it automatically gets provisioned with security baked in. So the time to value is very immediate. So even POCs are simply a click of a button. Oh yeah, it got done. So, so that by adding the least amount of friction and showing the time to value is how we are getting the talking to the tech through the technical perspective and folks. It just makes security very seamless, literally invisible. As in, that's Invi Grid for someone pointed that out to me. Are you saying it's invisible for us? It's like, is that why you named it Invi Grid? Yeah, okay. You're absolutely right. You caught on. Um, I wanted to say that it was invigorating the processes, but someone thought it was invisible security. Security just is taken care of. It was black boxed, right? Uh, from a business perspective, um, uh, we have always, as a community, as a security community, always wanted to be business enablers. We're not by intention trying to be friction for the business. But it so happens that in trying to put guardrails and all the solutions and tools available and not available to us, made us, being perceived as uh, adding friction and being an obstacle, right? So the intention is, so we never kind of, while we wanted to be enablers, never really had the right tool sets to make that happen. By not just embedding security, but by also making the provisioning process itself faster, we now enable the innovations to go to market very quickly, which means now they can start generating revenue very fast uh, and stay competitive, stay agile. And that business perspective is when we talk about that to the executives, that is the problem we are solving for them, they get that immediately.
Got it. I really appreciate how you've looked at the risk perspective, the technical perspective, and the business perspective, right? And it's a very different way of telling that story for the same underlying technology. Well done. So now I want to take a CISO specific perspective, right? And it's like when I talk to CISOs and I talk to other business people, I think about the security challenge this way. I will ask and I will say, pick which of these questions you think is how you, right, manage your security organization against what the expectations are. So I'm going to ask the three questions, and then what I'd like you to do is to take with each one and position how InviGrid, right, addresses that. And here's the three. So I say is my job as the CISO at Levi Strauss, is do I secure the company? Must I secure my company? Or is my job to be able to protect the business? So, how do I protect the business? Or is my job to sell more jeans? So, how do I enable the business to generate revenue? Okay.
Yeah.
So, talk me through each of those three questions as to how you position InviGrid based on the perspective of how the CISO sees their responsibility to the company.
Right. So, well, there are different kinds and types of CISOs, right? And in the same way that there are different kinds and types of LOBs, and there are different types of children, right? So, we have discussed this so often, right, Steve, where we talk about different children have different needs. If you have the different LOBs have different needs, and the right balance is very important here. So, but let's understand the terms, what we mean by do I secure my business or do I protect my business and do I enable my business? What does it mean? So, when we say, do I secure your business? Of course, I mean, we do need to, a chief information security officer and security professionals, there's where the term, but what's the real definition? The perception is that adds friction. Correct? That's the perception. The reality should be that you add just a minimal level of friction to enable business, correct? To protect and enable business. Okay, so engineering teams, so let's talk about protection now. So the engineering teams, the innovators, the builders, or the business lines of businesses that you're supporting. It could be finance or HR as well. They want freedom to operate, to conduct their business, right? Some of them are security aware, so they are your favorite child, right? You can give them a little bit more freedom, and some of them you may want to put some guardrails around, correct? So mm, sometimes you may want to allow the child, for example, to play in traffic, right? As you say that, Steve. That's exactly, but you want to not allow them to do it during peak hours. So it's the guardrails, it's the balance, correct? With the amount of friction that is necessary for that particular line of business, that is critical. The sensitivity of the data they carry, how much of security awareness they carry, how much they can work with or deal with by themselves. All of that comes into consideration as to the extent of guardrails and frictions. So you have to be adaptable. Adaptability is key. Giving them the freedom is also key. Otherwise, you will not be able to be agile and competitive, especially in this fast-paced world that we live in the last 2 years, even more so. So to enable business is what we need to do and what we have done. You have to make security seamless. And I think I'm going to probably repeating myself here, but just black box that problem. Let's just say take it away from them, right? Just make it happen. And that's exactly what we strive to do in our product, where we not just take away the problem of security, but we also help them do the provisioning fast enough, which enables the business, which makes allows them to focus on innovation and go to market fast.
Yep. And I love that, right? Which was don't try to teach them security, right?
Yeah,
Make security go away,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Own the problem. That's huge. Now, when we were talking, I have another way, right? When I kind of tease this out, and I asked you, I said, okay, when I look at a problem, I say, what's the brutal truth, right? What is the brutal truth that we are addressing, right? With technology or with people, or with process. And I use as an example, I say, look, when I was at Levi Strauss, I used to say a brutal truth was people were my weakest link. Okay. People make mistakes. No
yeah,
matter how much I want them to be perfect, they just can't be. And
yeah,
so, therefore, the brutal truth is I have to acknowledge that mistakes are going to happen. And
yeah.
so, therefore, what does my defensive perimeter look like? So, if I were to ask you the same question for InviGrid, which is okay, Yogi, what is the brutal truth that you believe that the InviGrid solution is solving?
There, there are a couple of things here, right? One brutal truth. No matter what we say and do, and that is what we are trying to solve, is that security, and especially security by design, which we are all talking about now, is not really well understood. And when it is well understood, it is very clear that it is expensive to implement in terms of time and money. It takes planning. Even this concept of understanding who you are dealing with, what their LOBs, to make it adaptable, right? Whether they are the citizen developers, like who are going to go, I mean, it's with AI, the rise of citizen developers. We already had the problem of shadow IT. Now it's shadow AI. And it's just going to be exponential with the rise of citizen developers. Then some of them may be untrained and ignorant, may make inadvertent mistakes. Some of them may feel entitled to take the risks and put the company at harm. And some of them may be, security aware and very taking care of every little thing that we have always been talking about. And those are our favorite folks, right? But so this is the second truth, right? How to make that adaptable, what you do. How to make give them the freedom to operate, but yet be able to adapt depending on the kind of line of business you're dealing with and their needs and the kind of people you're dealing with, right? So how to protect, how to give the freedom to those who are security aware, to those who want to innovate and take the company to the next step, but yet have the little necessary friction required, just the right amount, so that those who are ignorant or entitled don't put the company at too much of a harm and risk as they are doing that process. So, uh, so those are the things that we are trying to solve for. Make that security by design absolutely um, frictionless with just a little bit kept for the guardrails by giving them the freedom to operate within that thing. So protect the company and enable the business. And
Excellent. Well said. Really appreciate that clarity about security by design is just very expensive. The emerging classes of developing is requiring us to think about the problem differently.
yeah,
Excellent. So you said something to me when we were talking that I wanted to call out. I said, given this brutal truth, okay, I often hear vendors telling me that they want to help me. I'm here to help you, Steve, okay, by showing you more problems. And they sound like used car dealers. And
exactly.
you, when you approached me, right, with that passion, said, Steve, I don't want to help you. I'm here to own the problem. Okay. And that really struck me because you don't hear many salespeople or founders wanting to step up and own the problem with me, to put their reputation on the line with me as a CISO to solve the problem. Okay. So now I'm going to ask you is there a difference between helping a CISO and owning the problem for a CISO? And how do you see that? Why that difference when you approached me about wanting to own the problem?
Yeah. So long, many years back, I had a boss, many years back. And when I used the word help, he said, "How are you going to help? What do you mean? You're going to get coffee?" So it's like, okay, never use the word help. State exactly what you are going to do. But jokes apart, right? I mean, being a little serious, what the current solutions and what they mean by let's help you, CISO, is by showing those problems, showing those misconfigurations, giving you visibility. That's a big term and a big buzzword in the industry, giving more and more deeper and broader visibility into the misconfigurations and the vulnerabilities. And all that is great, but it is not solving the problem. And what we try to do is solve that problem. So we jointly own the problem and we take that problem away by doing it on behalf, taking it away on behalf of the developers, right? So they focus on innovation and we and not worry about infrastructure and security. We do it for them.
That's powerful. I mean, I appreciate that, right? I wish more companies and more founders would take that appreciation for it's not easy, but visibility is not what I need. So thank you for that. All right. Now, one size fits all. You've built a product, right? And so oftentimes you're building for the enterprise and you say it solves the problem for everybody.
Mhm.
But I'd like to understand, is one size fits all true for you? Or do you see the market and characterize the market as more than just one large opportunity? So can you tell me how you've kind of decomposed the market opportunities with InviGrid and how you address them?
Yeah, you hit the nail on its head, Steve. The different companies have different needs, and your product does need to evolve. It's not every company is not going to have the same security requirements. What is reasonable to a small company is different, and what is reasonable to a large regulated company is different. So adaptability is key, right? So we've broken down. So let's just break this down into three broad categories. One is the Fortune 500, the large companies, and in order to do security right, they have they have the ability to throw a lot of resources to the problem. They will, but they will add more they will hire more skilled, try to hire more skilled resources, buy more tools. But all that ends up happening is it slows down the process. And the ability to stay agile and competitive, especially in this world of AI and innovation happening at this pace, is compromised. And so that we like to call this problem in a large company like a broken bridge problem. So a variety of siloed teams trying to connect disconnected tools together has created this broken bridge for an end-to-end cloud infrastructure process. And so for them, our approach is how do we embrace that sprawl, what that has been created so far? We pick a workload at a time, correct? And then help them either build, fill up those potholes on the bridge or the holes in the bridge or gaps in the bridge, or and smoothen that out, or build a new bridge alongside, one thing at a time. What we are doing is by doing it rapidly and at extremely cost efficiently than what they are used to, we help them be more agile and competitive in the market. So the problem's different, but the adaptability to that for their needs gives helps us position ourselves differently within Fortune 500. Now let's take the case of the middle market segment, right? The hyper, typically these are, they have crossed the chasm, if you may, and are now approaching the hockey stick hyper growth phase in their company lives. So they probably went through ClickOps way of building their infrastructure in the beginning. They're probably hiring their first CISO now, but their problem is that of now scaling and growth. How do we enhance this infrastructure for that, and make it better for scalability and growth? So that problem gets addressed very differently, but again, by making it at the speed at which, they want, because now they are hockey stick growth. They want that speed to grow. Small and medium enterprises have a different set of problems. For them, it's like, I built my, they probably don't even have any, security expertise. Few may be forward thinking and may have virtual CISOs with them, but yet no hands-on regular day-to-day. For them, it's like, so where there we help the companies and their fractional CISOs to black box security and say, okay, you don't have to worry about it. Just tell us what you're building. Is it like a web application? Do you need containerized for now? Maybe not now. Let's go serverless. And I'm speaking technical, but what we do at a very business level is have them not worry about infrastructure and security and go to cloud and innovate, focus on innovation.
Wow. So great market segmentation, right? And I always think about the sound bites, right? So I
Okay.
heard you. So what I want to do is I go, so for the three broad markets, let me state them and the sound bite that I heard from you and
Mhm.
just validate that I got it right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I heard was Fortune 500, SaaS, mid-market, and small to medium enterprise. And for the Fortune 500, what I heard was we're the partner that enables them to stay agile and competitive.
Yes.
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 For the mid-market, what I heard was we're the growth partner with a focus on staying lean.
Yes.
And so
Right.
we grow with you so that you spend the money on security when you need to spend it to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Every day. Yeah.
And for the small to medium, right, for where there's not a lot of security, what we heard is you work with market partners, with the MSPs and MSSPs, so that you make the black box technology available without them having to invest directly in resources to deploy and operate the technology.
Yes, yes, and thank you for bringing the MSP and MSSPS out, Steve, is from our past conversations. But you're exactly right. The Fortune 500 stay agile, mid-market, the growth partner, stay lean and grow, and the SMEs being we are the go-to-market partner, stay focused on innovation. Yeah, fascinating.
Excellent. You've got that right. Really crisp and clean. Really appreciate that market segmentation too, because for me, makes it a lot easier to
Yeah,
know how to fit, right?
thank you.
You're not making it my problem, you're making it yours. Well done. So believe it or not, it's been awesome talking to you, learning about InviGrid, about the background, about the problem that you're owning for me. But I do want to give you the opportunity to say, are there any last thoughts you'd like to share with me and the audience, right, on things I didn't cover at this point, or other things that just kind of jump out at you that you want to let the audience know about?
So we help you fix, again, sorry, wrong word. We fix the problem.
That was very good. That was
Yeah,
good.
we fix the problem differently, but effectively and efficiently. It is effective for security and efficient for the business. And it's effective. And so that's what I would summarize it as.
Okay. And where do you know, I was going to ask, where do you see InviGrid going in 12 to 18 months? Not what your features are, but we talk about your vision. So in 12 to 18 months, where do you see the company?
Mm, well, we see, uh, all right, not from a features and perspective. Otherwise, I would have said, yes, of course, oh, talked all about AI, and but I know that's not what you're looking for. We want to focus and make InviGrid available uh, to the to those businesses who are we want them to we want them to sell, you know, sell jeans more, Steve. We want them to focus on that and leave and take care of the and solve the problem of the slow, manual, error-prone provisioning process uh, with security baked in seamlessly. So they don't have to worry about it. Just focus on their business.
Wow, what a great answer. I didn't see that one coming. So that was really, really good. Now, I promised my last question. So
Okay.
I guess another one, but I go, so as we wrap up, right, it's, what do you want to leave, right, the audience with as to the key difference about InviGrid that makes it interesting, right, for them to remember what you do so that when it becomes important, they know to call you?
Um, So when it becomes important, that's interesting. When you need to focus on your business and innovation and need to just be the infrastructure and security to be taken care of for you, think of us. Whether you're a large company or small, the product provides for the adaptability, for the control and customization you need while staying lean. So, yourself, that is what it will do for you. So, as a last line, we we hope to be your first line of defense in the very beginning as you provision your cloud, your last line of defense to make sure that it is auto-healed, and the evidence of defense,
Mm.
full change management. Yeah, through the whole process.
Wow. I couldn't ask for a better ending statement, be my first line of defense, my last line of defense, and my evidence of defense. That is a very thought-provoking and powerful way of positioning it. So with that, Yogi, I want to thank you for the time today to let me, be the fireside chat moderator with you. I thought it was really, really insightful. And again, thank you very much, and really excited to see the continued journey of Invi Grid.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do this and giving a voice for Invi Grid. Thank you.